action plans. Though we will not go ahead and implement those action plans right away because we need to safeguard those action plans. What if those action plans fail? If your action plans fail, then your project will also fail. So it's very important that we must safeguard the action plan. It's like vaccination of the action plan. You will create those safeguard measures so that there's no way your project could fail. The action plans must work for you. So we ensure that we update the risk management. What are the possible ways your action plans can fail? We would like to know them, and then we would like to protect our action plans from those possible risks. So FME has been created. The full version of this is failure modes and effects analysis. That's a risk management tool which helps you understand the kind of failure your process or business can get into and how to kind of mitigate yourself from those possible risks. So the template, which looks something like this, we have a pre-filled template just to kind of talk through this so that we understand how this template works. And keep this in mind, this is not just specific to Six Sigma. This FMEA is something which is used in every project management thing. If you talk about PMP syllabus, it's there. You pick up any ISO standard, you will see FMEA there. FMEA is a risk management thing, and everywhere there's a risk factor. So every project, every business needs to manage the risk, and that's the template we use, the method we use to kind of mitigate the risk. So in our case, because we're dealing with improving the business root causes, we have some, say for example, we have some root causes like we had some trainers. And if I look at the yesterday's thing when we talked about, we had like a possible root cause of a trainer, we had shift. So same from the X and Y relationship matrix. Here we created these action plans in X and Y relationship matrix that we should conduct the training program for the trainers also so that they can continue to get upgraded and refreshed. The trainer was supposed to do the best practice sharing with every other trainer. So everyone gets to learn from the best person. So pretty much everyone will improve. So we talked about all these action plans. This was part of our X and Y relationship matrix. Now these action plans that you've created, they must work. But in what conditions, in what situations can these action plans fail? There could be possible reasons. Now, we have not implemented these action plans, but we are speculating. We're trying to anticipate what can go wrong when we implement, what can go wrong. And I don't want to be in a situation where something goes wrong and then I start looking for solution. No, I want to be proactive. I want to know what are the possible ways it could fail. So we start with a team brainstorming session to understand what could be the possible failures. So failure modes that's what we're trying to brainstorm for. We would like to have all the process expert, technical experts, and everyone who's relevant to the project will sit together. We'll try to brainstorm for all possible failures. Say, for example, we talked about this train the trainer program. So what if the person who is supposed to train all the trainers, the master trainer, that person is inefficient? Then pretty much your project, your expected outcome will not be there. Your project will fail because the person who's supposed to conduct this training for the trainers, that's not efficient. What if you have attendance issues? Well, that will obviously impact your business plan, whatever strategies you're making. Unavailability of the trainer. What if the trainer is not available? Then pretty much you have, again, a potential threat. One action plan can fail because of multiple reasons. These failures have not happened, but can they happen? Yes. So if they can happen, I should know them and I will plan for them now before I implement them. Say, we talked about the best practice sharing to be done by the trainer A. Who's my best trainer? What if this person resigns? You can't hold this person like that. You can't leave the organization. Obviously, he gets a better job opportunity. He might leave. So yes, has it happened? No. But is that a possibility? Definitely yes. So my action plan will fail. The role model, if that role model was supposed to go and tell the entire world the success story and everything, the tricks of the trade, what if this person is not there? So yes, that's a possible threat. What if the other trainers, they don't take it seriously? Well, they have ego issues with this trainer. This trainer A wants to share the best practices with them, but they are not comfortable. They have problems with this guy. Well, you are my peer. Why should I take instructions from you? Well, they can have ego issues that will again spoil that entire purpose. What if the trainer A himself is reluctant to share information? He does not want to share this information. There's no charity work going on. I am the best trainer and I am enjoying that leverage where pretty much everybody wants me. I'm in limelight and I've worked hard for it. Why do I go and just share this my tricks of the trade with everyone and create a competition? Well, that's fair enough, and I'm sure it's a basic human tendency. We do not want to do any charity work. Pretty much, we would like to uh, enjoy that luxury of being the best one. Practically, that's a fair enough reason, and that could again like impact your action plan. So every action plan can fail because of multiple reasons. You have to just sit down, brainstorm for that. When you have the list of possible failures, then comes effect on EDR. EDR stands for end desired result. Now, if this failure happens, what will happen to your expected outcome? You had some expectations for this action plan, but what will happen if this failure happens? What will be the impact on that action plan? What will the impact on the expected outcome? Well, in like, if you can write in many with different words, it's a subjective one, you can write it, but in nutshell, if I were to kind of look at the consequences of these failures, can be four types of consequences. Either the entire purpose will become zero, like entire objective, it will nullify the impact, absolute zero. It will cancel every possible impact because of this action plan. That's a deadly, like a fatal plan, fatal failure. It's a really, really bad failure. Your net output becomes zero. That's what it can happen. Or probably you wanted results and improvement, which might get delayed. You are probably expecting improvement in say 15 days, 20 days. You might take 2 months, 3 months. The result might get delayed because of the failure. Or the impact may be reduced. You wanted 100% end result. Well, you might just get 10, 15, 20% kind of result. That's also possible. A failure can reduce the impact of that action plan. Or altogether, you may have an absolutely negative impact. Forget about positive. It will impact you negatively. It's a very bad situation to be in. So failures can lead into multiple ways to impact your net output, whatever you were expecting. So as a team, we'll sit down, brainstorm what will happen. Say, inefficient trainer, the impact will be nullified. No more improvement because this guy is not able to give any extra knowledge. So pretty much no improvement, zero. Attendance issues, I'll say, a reduced impact because practically someday they will come, whatever they come, they will get some information. The day they don't come, pretty much they lose out. So yeah, different failures can lead to different things. Say trainer A resigns, your impact will be nullified because this guy who's supposed to do the best practice sharing, he's not there. Pretty much there will be no more improvement. Now that's how we'll sit down with the team and kind of anticipate what will be the consequence of that failure. So we'll write them up and practically it'll be out of these lists. Now that brings us to the basic essence, heart of this FMEA, which is severity, occurrence, and detection. So severity, occurrence, and detection is something which is the base of your FMEA. FMEA works on this basic logic of severity, occurrence, and detection. See, whenever you go for any job interview, people will definitely ask this question. FMEA is a very integral part. Again, as I said, it's not a Six Sigma tool, it's a risk management tool. And every business owner wants to be sure that somebody who's in a management role knows the risk mitigation plan. And that's what we are looking at, risk mitigation plan, severity, occurrence, and detection. We just want to know, like, have you worked on any FMEA thing, or like, have you discussed about FMEA? How's your like understanding about FMEA? Anyone who has worked on FMEA or knows about FMEA? Anyone? Uh,
No, sir.
okay, perfect. That's fine. But just keep this in mind. This is an important topic from a real world perspective, from application perspective, and from job interview perspective also. It is definitely asked because It's a universal tool which is used in everything like ISOs, project management, Six Sigma, everywhere. Practically, it's used everywhere. Any kind of industry, every industry uses this. Every means absolutely every industry uses this. So coming to severity, this is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is being not important, not that critical, absolutely small problem, not a big deal. 10 is really, really bad, like a COVID situation, like it's absolutely severe. Yes, it's fatal, it's bad. COVID situation, somebody getting infected. So severity, probably very high. Headache, I would say less important, not that big deal. So if you want to understand the severity, severity 1 means not a big deal, not a big problem. It's okay. 10 is really, really bad. So severity, every problem will be assessed whether how severe is this problem. So based on the effect on end desired result, you will be able to come up with the severity numbers. And as a team, we'll sit down, brainstorm. We may have difference of opinion. Somebody might say 6, somebody might say 7. Ultimately, as a team, we have to discuss, brainstorm, and settle down on a number as a as a collective team. So again, this will help you identify something which is fatal. Absolutely, the impact is nullified. Trainer A resigns. That is severe, absolutely severe. Well, the master trainer is not effective. The impact will be nullified, absolutely high. Something which is like say unavailability of the trainer. Well, practically this guy is not present today. We'll take the training tomorrow. So probably I'll get delay, but it's not that bad. Like probably we have say 10 training sessions, and say there were 2 or 3 sessions which got postponed. Well, that's fine. So it's not that critical, but as the other ones, like ego issues, when then there's an ego issue, pretty much, uh, I won't be happy with this of rating of 5. So just an example, but I will say the people have ego issues. That's a very bad one. I would rather give it a 8. It depends on the team as you sit together, understand which is more critical. So severity will be rated on a scale of 1 to 10. Similarly, occurrence. Now, when is rated on a scale of 1 to 10? When you say occurrence of 1 to 10, bottom line, it means how frequently that failure happen. Say you get out of your home during the business hour and you get caught in a traffic jam. What is the occurrence? Yes, the occurrence is very high. Whenever you go get out in a business during business hours, you will get traffic jam. Yes, so occurrence is very high. So similarly, whenever we're talking about a failure, how frequently can that failure? An inefficient trainer. Well, every time this guy is supposed to train, if he's bad, is bad. So occurrence will be very high. This failure will keep getting repeated very often. Attendance issues. I won't say like everyone will be not coming every day. So yes, there will be some days people won't come. So occurrence will not be very high. Like attendance issues won't be very, very high. Yeah, some days people may not be able to come up. Unavailability trainer, obviously trainer won't be absent every day. So occurrence is less. Trainer A resigns. Obviously, you can't resign every day. So once only, occurrence once. See, these like ego issues. When I have a problem with you, I have a problem. I'll always have a problem. We don't gel together. Bottom line, occurrence of this failure will be high. Ego issues will always be there. Clashes will be there. If I don't want to share information, bottom line, I don't want to share. So it's just about how frequently can this failure happen on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is rarely happening. 10 is very frequently happening. On the same line, detection also works on 1 to 10. Now, this works a little differently, and that's where we need to pay attention. Now, detection of 1, if a failure happens and you are able to detect the failure instantly, that is not big concern. If a failure happens and you find it instantly, you will be able to fix it. Say you're sitting in a room and there's a power cut. Well, there is no light, no electricity. You have detected the failure. The failure is power failure. You got to know, and you can like switch on your backup and whatever inverter. Bottom line, you know the failure. But when would you rate a 10? When it becomes more risky, when you're not able to detect it. When you can detect it, it's not a big deal. You will be able to solve it. But if you cannot detect a failure and you're living with that failure, you have no idea, then it's very bad. That's when you give a risk of 10, detection level of 10. Detection level of 10 means not detectable. Detection level of 1 means very easily detectable. Like COVID situation. Is it detectable? Practically not. I would say I'll give a rating of 10. Well, there are a lot of people who are just roaming around everywhere. They've got COVID and they have no idea. They're healthy, absolutely healthy, moving around, passing on this COVID to everyone. Well, not intentionally, but even they don't have an idea where they've got COVID. Well, that's where it becomes so risky, not only to them, but to everyone else. So detection level is zero. But yes, when it's easily detectable, somebody has a temperature, like some sort of, this guy has got a fever, you also get to understand, well, that's when detection is easy. But when it's not detectable, the person is absolutely healthy and still has COVID. Yes, there are asymptomatic cases which are actually spreading it big time. That's where we have a problem. So detection level, if you can detect a failure easily, not a big risk. One, if you cannot detect a failure, then you will be living with that risk. Then it's bad. You give high rating. So the trainer is inefficient. You get to know instantly. Well, the guy is not good. Attendance issues, you will get to see. Well, people aren't coming. Unavailability of the trainer, you get to know the guy is not ready to is not available for the training. Trainer A resigns. He doesn't show up. Instant detection. Not a big deal. Well, that's where my problem. Trainer A is reluctant to share information. Well, this guy does not want to share the information, but he's not going to tell you on your face that, well, I don't want to do it. You're the boss. You're telling him, oh, trainer A, you go and share the information. Well, he's a smart guy. Well, probably you will be obviously look at his body language, look at his choice of word. Probably you ask this person to share what like best practices for like say 10 minutes a day, every day, 10 minutes, spend some time with them. Well, his response probably, well, I will spend 30 minutes with them. Well, I don't think 10 minutes is sufficient. Let me see, we are a team player. We need to work together and all that stuff. Bottom line, that's when it becomes bad. Well, I cannot detect it because he's so deceptive. Yes, Shubham, please tell me.
Sir, in severity, one
Mhm.
means good or of a little bad.
One means very less important, like not that critical, uh, not, it's not a big problem. Like it's a small thing. It's okay, kind of thing. It's not a big problem.
Okay. Or sir, in occurrence, one means little often या फिर
Yeah,
मतलब
say
less number
once in a
time
year,
repeated.
once in a year kind of thing.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Occurrence of 10 is very very fast, like every time, as I say, during summer having a power cut, yes, occurrence is very high. So yeah, depends on like how frequently can it happen. Like in this case, this guy is not ready to share information, but he's very very smart. He is not able to let you know that he doesn't want to share. His body language, his choice of word will be very deceptive. That's how I we have a problem here. Now practically, when you get the severity, occurrence and detection done, that comes with RPN, risk priority number. Risk priority number stands for RPN. This is how we select and prioritize a risk, which is we multiply severity, occurrence, and detection, all these three rating to get risk priority number. So 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 2, that gives me 200 here. So all this RPN is the way how we decide that which risk is more critical, which risk is less critical. So we always go in
Sir,
a descending. Yes, yes.
sir, FMEA is a tool or like check sheet
It's a
type?
tool. It's a tool. It's a tool, and see, the risk is assessed using FMEA. You assess the risk, and you continue working on it because you will never be able to find all risk. Like I hope you all understand. Uh, did you ever hear about COVID before this situation? No, not even me.
No.
Not even probably our generation or our parents would not even would have heard about something like pandemic. The word pandemic came in, and because for the first time everyone was taken by surprise that something like this can happen. Well, that's a scary thing, but nobody knew the word called pandemic sort of thing. Yeah, it happened way back in 1920s when we had the Spanish flu, but since then there's nothing like that. So people in our generation, or probably even our parents generation, there's nothing called pandemic thing. Now we all know there's a risk, this can happen, and if this has happened now, something like this can happen in future. So risk can never be anticipated completely. So FMEA will never be complete. It will always keep getting updated. FMEA is only live document which will never complete. It will be like your project started, your project will end. But FMEA will never be marked as complete because you will never know every possible risk. As the time progresses, new risk will come and you have to plan yourself for that risk. So this FMEA will keep getting updated every time. Only way
Sir,
we
can you
find.
please
Yeah.
show us some glimpse of this, like a mini tab?
On minute tab we can't do this.
No, sir, like mini tab. You can you please show some glimpse of this?
The
You have
actual FMEA.
FMEA tool.
This is the FMA template. Basically, there's no, like, this is the template in which we work. So there's no like specific tool. This is this is referred as a tool. Again, when we talking about FME as a tool, this is a tool. See,
Okay,
these
sir.
are tools which are used in various methods, like various tools and techniques are there. So there's no such software. This is the activity which is done in an FMEA.
Okay, sir.
So, okay, basis the RPN number, risk priority number, you decide that which risk is more important, which risk is less important, and you will go ahead and address that risk, like depending on the risk number. So you can get maximum of 1000 as a RPN, which is 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10, or you can get minimum of 111, which is 1. So max your RPN can be maximum 1000 and minimum 1. So you will always get RPN in a range of 1 to 1000. That's the range, global, fixed. You don't change with this. So RPN can range between 1 and 1000. You always check with the highest RPN. That you need to address that risk first, second highest, then third highest, fourth highest. So in decreasing order of your RPN number. That's the first condition. Now say if you get a tie in RPN, that two RPN are same, then you will see which has highest severity. So between those two, you will see whichever has highest severity, that will be addressed first. Say you get a tie in severity also, then you will see which has highest occurrence. First, highest RPN. If you get a tie there, then check for highest severity, and you get a tie in severity also, then you go for highest occurrence. That's how we prioritize which risk needs to be addressed first, which risk needs to be addressed second. Now, once we have the RPN available, like pretty much the last thing which is left out here is RMS, which stands for Risk Management System. You know the risk number, you know how critical it is, yes, but how are you going to manage the risk? This is going to be taught by Risk Management System. This is coming from PMP, Project Management Practitioner stuff. So when we talk about risk management system, you have four types of risk management system. You need to choose one of these. Either you will accept the risk, or you will avoid the risk, or you will reduce the risk, or you will transfer the risk. Now what does it mean? But for every risk, you have to choose one. You have to choose one of these. Which one? You have to understand the basic meaning of it. Basis the meaning of it, you will decide what needs to be chosen. For every risk, when you know the number, you will, as a team, will decide how I'm going to handle this risk. Number I know, but how I'm going to handle it. That's what risk management system. How are you going to manage it? One method is accept. That's the last thing you can do, is accept the risk. Accepting risk is the very bad. That means I am okay with the risk. It's okay. Well, I cannot do much about it. Okay, yes, you can choose accept only when you genuinely cannot do anything about it. Like everyone was put into home, this lockdown situation. Did anyone want it? No. But do we have a choice? No. We had to accept this risk. So accepting is only possible and should be chosen if you genuinely cannot do anything about it, because you don't want to live with the risk. You want to reduce the risk. You want to fix the risk. So if you can do something about it, do. You just don't say, okay, I'm okay. Well, let's see. Whatever will happen, we'll see. No, that's bad. Then you are saying, okay, I'm okay with the risk. Accepting the risk is only when you genuinely cannot do anything to. Like, for example, you want to do some sort of contest, some sort of thing to motivate people. Well, management says, well, we don't have budget. Can you fight with the management? No. That's when you will accept the risk. So accepting a risk is when you genuinely cannot do anything to reduce the risk. Accept, then you have no choice. Accept the risk. So for any risk, when you can't do anything, choose accept. Avoid is even bad, like more, like I would say accept is still okay. Avoid is even bad. Avoid is when we say, okay, it's important, I will work on it, I'm not accepting it, but right now, I have something more important. I will check it out. It is not your priority. If it is not your priority today, it will never be your priority tomorrow. It will always be postponed, always be postponed. In the first case, at least you are ready. Okay, let's see, whatever will happen, we'll see. In this case, at least it's very bad because you're not even ready for that, and you will never work on it. So avoid is even bad. Avoid is only chosen, and people use this when your RPN is very less, which is less than 20. If RPN is less than 20, it's okay to use avoid. It's not that critical. When do you get RPN less than 20? When the severity is very less, occurrence is very rare, and you can easily find it. That's not a big risk. Small RPN is not a big risk. What is the definition of small? Industry-wise best practices 20, a cutoff limit of 20. Less than 20, people say it's not worth putting in time, effort, resources. So we can ignore it, because if the risk happens, it's not a big risk, and it will happen once in a year kind of thing. And whenever it will happen, you get to understand that, okay, this risk has happened. So it's not a big deal. You can avoid whenever the RPN is less than 20. It's not worth working. So avoid is only should be chosen in that case. 99.99% of the time, every time, actually, in the risk, you will see reduce, because you want to reduce the risk. You don't want to keep the risk as it is. You want to reduce it. So generally, you will see reduce only. But you can also choose transfer. Transfer is absolutely okay. You can choose transfer, but it comes with a cost. If your management is okay with the cost, you can transfer the risk. Like, for example, banks. Banks are financial institutions, and they have to put cash into the ATMs. They have not taken up this job of putting the cash. They've given the job to a security agency. That security agency does this job. So they have transferred the risk to somebody more capable to manage that risk. Now, in corporates, they don't have their own IT team. The IT department is outsourced to some IT company. I have transferred my risk to somebody more capable. I don't want to become an IT company. I have transferred my IT work to someone, like event managers. Can we manage the birthday parties, office parties, seminars? Yeah, we can. But what do? We hire an event manager who manages everything, because they're more capable, more specialist of managing it. Yes, so transfer is absolutely okay, but it comes with a cost. If your management is okay, transfer the rest. If you feel somebody is more required, more talented, more skilled is required, go ahead and transfer the risk if your management is okay. So you have to choose one of this. Ideally, in the first, second, and the fourth case, you have no action plan. When you're accepting, there'll be no action plan. Who are you going to do? When you're saying, okay, let's let it be, I can't do much about it, there'll be no action plan. When you're avoiding it, there is no action plan. When you transfer the risk to someone else, no action plan. So you'll not do anything in the first these cases. But when you talk about reduce, yes, you have action plan. You have to do something to reduce this risk. What would you do? You have two types of action plan every time. Whenever you have a risk management system has reduced, you should have two plans. One is a preventive plan before the risk, and a contingency plan, which is a backup plan after the risk. Always have two types of plan for every risk, preventive as well as backup plan. For example, like we have a risk that there could be fire, short circuit in the office, in the building, and that can cause a lot of damage. So fire is a big risk. So what is my preventive plan? Okay, well, I will do regular maintenance. I'll do regular checkup. I'll check it out. Regular audits will be done to make sure everything is done cleanly and everything is no problem, and regular maintenance is done. So that is preventive. Does it guarantee that there will be no electrical short circuit, no fire outbreak? No. But yes, it will minimize it to great extent. If you're doing regular maintenance, regular audit, it will reduce the chances of electrical short circuit to a great extent. But yes, we cannot guarantee that. So what's my backup plan? What if it's still there is electrical short circuit and there's the fire thing? Well, we have done the insurance of the building. We have trained our staff on fire mock drills. There are enough mock drills done, so people know when to use sand, when to use water, how to use the fire extinguisher, what is the number for fire brigade. All that thing preparation has already been done. A, we've done the preventive plan. B, we know what needs to be done. What if we still have a problem? So every risk you must have two types of plan. One is like a preventive plan, another is a backup plan. Every time, whenever you have a action plan, it must be a complete plan. Otherwise, there's no fun. See, there's no fun in making a defect and then fixing it. If you can prevent the defect in the first place, there's nothing better than that. Again, this is pretty much the best thing you can do, is to prevent the risk in the first place. So that's what you would like to do. When you have the action plans available, you need to have a like a responsibility given. So RTB stands for risk treatment plan. So every reduce, you will have a plan, and that will be given to somebody with a deadline that you need to complete this by so and so date. So that's how your FMEA works. Anyone has a question about FMEA? Because that's it is from the FMEA part. Anyone has questions?
No, sir, it's pretty clear.
Okay, perfect. But just keep this in mind. Real world, during job interviews, getting into a management domain, management role, FMEA will definitely be a part of whatever questionnaire, whatever reviews, interviews in real world implementation. This is going to be there. So keep this in mind. This is going to be a real world tool that we'll be using. Now, say you got your action plans safeguarded, you've kind of done your risk management plan implemented. You know for sure now your action plans are safeguarded. You'll go with the implementation of your action plan. When you implement your action plan, you would like to understand when very clearly. So these action plans are linked. Your action plans are linked with your root causes, and these root causes are linked with your business problem. Now, if your action plans are working, really working, then they should be improving your root causes, the problems, and that should be improving your business problem. So if your action plans are working, your output, the business output, should be also improving. How do you check it? You check it using one sample T test. Another statistical test which will be used for checking the project progress and to check whether did you achieve the target, what you committed to the management. Because you're implementing this business plan or action plans, now we would like to check whether it's improving or not. So there's a file within the well, which I'll be sharing. This is a sample file. Like we have, say, 1 week has gone by. We have implemented. We were given a target that we have to increase the average daily production, and the target was given like you have to increase it beyond 425 kilograms per day. Daily production target on an average, we need to hit more than 425. That was the target. So null says the average production is equal to 425. Alternate says no, it's greater than 425. My strategies were so good that we have improved the production beyond 425. That's what we want to prove. Now, say 1 week has gone by. If your action plans has worked, there should be some improvement here in the week one data. After 1 week of action plan implementation, I would like to check, did I improve? But technically nothing can change overnight, so it takes time. So you have to periodically keep checking, keep collecting data. As you keep checking the data, you'll get to see and understand how it works out. So let's kind of understand how one sample T testing will be done. Say first week, we have just week one data. You don't have week two and week three data. You don't have this. First week of implementation, after 1 week of implementation, you want to check your target. Stats, basic statistics, and you have one sample T here. One sample T. You select this one sample T. Now, while clicking this box, I only have week one data. It's 1 week has gone by. Select week one data. Here it says perform hypothesis test. Yes, I would like to perform the test. What's your target? My target is 425. I click on options. It's asking me, what is your alternative hypothesis? What is that you want to prove to your management? Well, I have options. Which one do you think I should be choosing? First, second, or third? First, second, or third? What is that you want to prove to the management? Anyone wants to pitch in?
Sir, third.
Absolutely, yes, correct. Mean the average of my process is greater than 425. 425 is the hypothesized mean, which we have put here. So we want to prove to the management that my strategies were so good, I was so brilliant that pretty much we've improved the process average greater than 425. Let's see, did we or did we not? I click OK. So that's how my p-value tells me it's null. Null means we have not achieved the alternate, which is greater than 425. We have the process has not improved. Well, fine. We will learn from the mistakes. We'll revise the action plans. We'll revise the risk management plan, see what needs to be done. Obviously, things happens gradually. You can't change anything like everything overnight. So second week, you continue the same job and you kind of say, collect data at the end of week two after making some modification in your action plans. Still, you want to do the same 425 and all greater than 425. That's what we want to prove. We still have null. So null, we know for sure that we have not achieved this. When you get alternate, that means you have greater than 425. So pretty much this is the stage where we're saying, well, we have not achieved the process performance, whatever we wanted. We still have something more to be done. Let's see, we get into week 3. In week 3, again, we collect data. We again test after third week of implementation. That's when we are getting an alternate. Alternate, that means you have been able to prove that yes, we have enough statistical evidence to prove and claim that the DNA of the process has changed. The process has gone beyond 425. So there's no way it's coming less than 425. Now let's understand what is the reasoning behind it. So when we look at this alternate, yes, we know for sure we have evidence that this alternate has been proven. It's greater than 425. So that's the evidence we will be putting on a slide, and we'll prepare this some PowerPoint slides, and we'll share this journey of week 1, week 2, week 3 with the management to showcase that yes, we have come up with a revised best action set of action plans or strategies which can help you attain this kind of performance. We did it on a pilot scale. We have been able to achieve this kind of performance, and we have best risk management plan. We've got best action plans, and it's just about now copy pasting this information on the entire process and improving everything. Right now, we just did a trial on a small scale. We have created a best possible, like a recipe with which we can achieve this kind of performance. Well, that's a phenomenal achievement. Well, definitely yes. So this is the time where you kind of showcase all the reports, like you prepare some PowerPoint slides, because you know week by week you have kind of progressed. So what you can do is you can create a final slide, which when you put all these things together, and let's analyze this. So I'm putting week 1, week 2, week 3, because I have gone through this journey. So you may have week 4, week 5, depending on how many weeks it took you. You can do weekly or every 10 days, whatever frequency you decide. And let's have a look at this. We will be able to interpret and understand how the journey progressed. Week 1, week 2, week 3. We know week 1 was null, week 2 was null, week 3 was alternate. We know third week we achieved the target. That's clear. But have a look at this. That's where we would like to kind of understand. Week 1, 19 samples were picked up to audit from the improved process. We found that the average of that process was 237, wherein it says we are 95% confident that the process, which has in this sample, because sample, when you pick up a new sample, the average will change. For this average is 237. If you pick up a different sample size, you will get a different average. What it says that we are 95% confident that your process, from whatever process you're picking up these samples, your average can go lowest up to 224. For this sample, when you picked up this sample, it has an average of 237, but we're 95% confident looking at this sample that the process averages can go, for overall process average can go lowest up to 224. Well, that's where we are way off from the target of 425. The second week, again, we picked up 19 samples. For these 19 samples, the average is 354. Having said that, we're 95% confident that from the process from which we are picking up these samples, the averages can go lowest up to 330 also. But we can see there is an improvement in the process behavior. The DNA, the quality of the process is getting better. The lowest minimum possible has improved to 330. The third week, we have a sample average of 463. It says we are 95% confident that the process can go lowest up to is 442, which is any given day better than 425. Hence, we got an alternate in the last case, because it can go. The process has an average of 463 in this sample, but it can go lowest up to 442 only, which is where we can say now we have enough statistical evidence. The DNA of the process has significantly statistically changed, and you are performing at much higher level than 425. I hope that's clear to everyone how to read and interpret this information.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Perfect.
the
Yeah.
samples we are using in week 1, 2, and 3, 19 samples, they are the same, right?
So see, we're picking different samples. So first week we picked up 19 samples. Another week, we're again picking up another 19 samples. Next week, so after the periodic like implementation. So 1 week has gone by. After that, you go and check pick up some data and see how, if my action plan has worked, it should show in the results. We're collecting results after every 1 week. You can do it after every 10 days or 15 days, whatever frequency you want to collect. So these are different samples, but okay. So similarly, so we when we get this data, like we work it out. If I go back here again, that's what we says to check the project progress. We use one sample t. So this is where the first slide of will go here. You can prepare this entire slide, put this information on a slide, and share it with the management. Copy paste this on a PowerPoint and just share this information. So that will become your first slide as an evidence that you will be sharing with the management that yes, you have gone through the journey of improvement, and like step by step they'll be able to see the journey. So but because you know for sure the process has improved, you'll add some more slides for the management to get more confidence and belief in your implementation part. So because you know for the process has improved, you can start with your before and after analysis. So this is where you started. So I will say before y or old y. So let me just write in old y. That's where you started. This is your new improved y. So I'll say new y. So I've changed this, the headers. Now it says before and after. So we'll be doing a comparison. Like if you must have seen those ads where if somebody is going through VLCC program, a fat guy turns into a thinner guy. So we showcase both old and new. That's what is being done here also, old and new. Globally, the test is done, which is paired t test. So paired t test will help us validate. Null says there is no difference in old and new performance. Alternate says no, there is a significant difference between old and new performance. Let's have a look at it. Start basic statistics and says paired T. We click on paired T. First sample, old Y. Second sample, new Y. So we want to compare. Oh, null says no differences. Let's see. So old average was 237. The new average is 463. Is there a difference? Yes. But is it a large difference with which we can say they are performing at absolutely different level? Yes, let's see. P-value confirms the same. Yes, they are statistically significantly different, and we can say that yes, your process has significantly improved from where we were. So that becomes the like even like nowadays when we talk about this COVID vaccine and everything, they're all going through paired test. Everyone globally, the test which is being used for comparison is paired test. Even all these testing, every testing, all medicine testing, they go through paired. Psychiatric treatments, they go through paired. Or you like say for example, I'm coming with a blood pressure pill. Before, and I want to claim that my blood pressure pill works fine, so it's better than the existing ones in the market. So I will give the old pill to somebody, take down the blood pressure readings, and says the same set of people on a different day, I'll give another pill, the new one, and take down the blood pressure and compare it with old and new. Does it show a remarkable difference? Yes or no? So paired test will give you the answer. So even the COVID vaccine thing, which failed in India, which was in the first one, which we were kind of almost close to declare that like pretty much we have got the, with Oxford University, whatever we were working on, it failed the paired test. We were, and pretty much then it didn't work out. So whatever we were trying to claim, it didn't show alternate in the results. So we were still getting null. So whenever they tested the person with old, like without a vaccine versus giving a vaccine, still the body immunity levels remained almost same. So it didn't work out. Paired test failed in their case. So paired test is all about comparing old and new of the same thing. So old and new process, old and new person, same person's old and new transition. Null says no differences, alternate says significant differences. Now, with having said that, we have paired test that goes along with a graphical plot. We have already discussed box plot. Here also box plot will come, but a different box plot. We go to box plot, same process. We have done with groups, but now we are comparing old and new y, y1, y2. That's what we're going to compare. y1, y2. We select the old y, we select the new y, we click on scale. In the reference line, we put down the value, the target, which was 425. The management wanted you to achieve the 425 target. Let's click OK. And additionally, just for looks perspective, we click on data view and we connect the median of two box plots. We connect the median. It looks good. There's no other relevance. You click OK. Just have a look at it. It gives you self-explanatory thing. So paired t-test and box plot go hand in hand. This was my old performance level. This was my target. 100% effective. The process has shifted significantly. We still have some data less than 425, but on an average, the process has shifted over 425. That's how the shift is clearly visible in this box plot. Same stuff with the same data. So these all are going on your PowerPoint slides, which you're sharing with your management. And pretty much the last thing in the improve phase is when you have your old and new Sigma level. So for that, again, you still have this assistant option. Global to assistant, it says before and after capability analysis, old versus new Sigma level comparison. Click on this and it will give you this option, capability comparison. Click on this data. And it says baseline process data. What's your old data? Well, select the old data. Subgroup size column 1 because it's a single column. All old data is in a single column. Improved process data. The improved process data, yes, that's my new Y. Subgroup size 1. What is the customer requirement? 425. What do I need? Minimum 425. So that's my lower limit of 425 kilograms per day. It's not my upper limit. You need to have minimum of 425. That's the lowest limit. That's it. We're done. Comparison. And let's have a look at this. It tells me there is a 77% reduction in the defect. Earlier, your defect rate was 100%, and now it's gone down to 22.89%. That's a significant drop in your defect rate, which is 77% reduction in defect. Look at this. The entire process was below the lower limit. Entire process, 100% effective process. Now shifted the process. Some portion is still here, but yeah, most of the portion has moved ahead. Look at the old Sigma level, new Sigma level, change in the Sigma level, and you can make your personalized comments here also. We just scroll down. Look at this. Control charts. We haven't studied control charts yet, but yeah, old control chart, new control chart, before and after. Old normality test, new normality test. The test results are also visible. You just scroll down, have a look at this. Process performance report. Old Sigma level, so CPK, CPCPK, ZBEN, that's my long-term Sigma. I need to add 1.5 to get my current Sigma. Similarly, I need to add 1.5 to get my current Sigma. The change in the Sigma level you can have there. So which is change in the Sigma level is about whatever the 6.58, whatever this is here. So bottom line, it helps me understand how my process comparison can be done. So these are ready reports. Copy paste, send it to the management. That's enough evidence for management to look at and say, yes, your process has significantly improved. Let's go ahead and change and implement the logic on the entire process. That's how it goes. Just want to check with everyone, like, is this clear? Like, because that with that we conclude the improve phase part of it. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Now, moving on to the control phase, as we discussed yesterday, see, in control phase, there are two components only. One is your control plan, another is your lessons learned document. Lessons learned document is more of like a signing off document where you are submitting your projects like report, like a summary document, how did the journey happen in the overall project period. Basically, you'll submit all it's a handover process, nothing else. Control plan is the essence of your control phase, which is basically you are, because you are into experimentation phase, you're changing strategies, revising strategies for FMEA also, action plans also. Now, because whatever got you the overall process improved, you will further now document and make it a formal document. Like, this is what we did, which got us the result. Let's continue doing the same. The last revised FMEA becomes a formal document. These are the risk management plan. We must continue doing the same because these help us to secure the action plans. And if your new risk comes in, definitely will be added to the list. Now, all in all, it boils down to what control chart you'll be using and what to read in a control chart. So from control chart perspective, we have to pay attention because that's what is used. It's again, irrespective of Six Sigma process or not a Six Sigma process, which kind of company you're working in, this control charts, like control charts happen to be in practice in 1920s. 1920s, the control charts were used. In 1986, Six Sigma came in. They just copy pasted this control charts and they made it a control phase. So This was already successful, well in practice in across other industries also. It is helping you to understand that whatever happens in a process, once you've improved it, you don't want the process to start failing again. You want that improvement to sustain. You don't want to lose that improvement. Otherwise, there's no fun in doing a project. Every time the project, wherever you started, you go back to the same position. Then what's the fun of doing a Six Sigma? So you have the final thing done by control phase, which is where we need to understand that basically depending on the data type, if you're dealing with a continuous data, you have a different set of control charts. If you're dealing with a discrete data, you have different set of control charts. In continuous data, you have a chart called IMR. Then you have a chart by the name of X bar R. And you have a chart by the name of X bar S. These are three control charts. IMR chart stands for individual and moving range chart. X bar means mean, which is average, and range chart. X bar means mean, and S for standard deviation chart. So these are combination of two charts each, moving individual and moving range, mean and range, mean and standard deviation chart. Whenever we do an analysis of any data, we must do a complete analysis, which is looking at centering of the process and variation of the process. These charts are doing the same. Individual chart will show you the centering of the process, which is like mean of the data, and moving range. Range is variation, so it helps you to understand the variation also. Same thing if you look at mean is centering, range is variation. Same thing is here, mean means centering, standard deviation is variation. So every time whenever you're looking at all these charts, it is helping you do a complete analysis, 100% analysis. When you just look at one aspect of the data and you take decisions, you are doing 50% analysis. You're not doing a complete analysis, and you will not be in a position to make rational decisions. See, trust, once you have improved your process, just have your control charts in place, and trust, you will not see surprises in your process. It is the essence of your control phase, is the heart of your Six Sigma journey, because once you have improved, you want to leverage that improvement all throughout. So keep this in mind, whatever industry you're working in, even if you're not using Six Sigma as a whole, you can use these as separate tools. You can use, at least set up a control with whatever process you have. Set up a control plan, set up a control chart, start monitoring, observing the process. If you are looking at process control charts, you'll always know what's happening in the process. Simple as that. Uh, Discrete charts will talk separately. Let's understand what do we use which chart. This is going to be used when your subgroup size is 1. We'll understand what is that. We'll look at some data for that. Subgroup size when it is up to 8, you use an X bar R. When subgroup size is greater than 8, then use an X bar S chart. To have a look at this, if you want to check assistant control charts, here it tells you the same thing. Data type continuous. Are you collecting data in subgroups? That means multiple groups. No, single one. IMR. That's what it says, single subgroup, single group, IMR. If it is collected in subgroups, that means more than one. Yes, what is the size of the subgroup? Is it 8 or less? Up to 8, X bar R. More than 8, X bar S. So depending on the control chart, we will be able to understand that. So which chart needs to be picked up? We'll look at the data to first understand which control chart needs to be published and all. So let's have a look at the control chart file here. Okay, so that's the file for control charts. First data is IMR chart. Let me just get rid of this data. Okay, that's how, because it's important to see and understand what is my subgroup size 1. So first, let's have a look at this. First R, I go and pick up a sample, I measure the weight. Second R, again go and pick up a sample, measure its weight. So measuring the weight, every R I'm going in and picking up one sample and I'm measuring its weight. One sample at a time, generally you will have a single column. That's how it is. This is called subgroup size 1. One sample at a time, one sample at a time. That's how you have subgroup size 1. But if you have picking, say in this case, for example, you have got more than, so you go in the first hour and you're picking up, say, 7 samples. That's my 7 sample. First hour I picked up 7 samples. Second hour again I go and pick up some more samples. 7 samples, 7 samples, 7. That way my subgroup size is 7. So up to 8, it is going to be X bar R. But if it is more than 8, like in this case, we have got uh, 12 subgroups, pretty much. Every hour I'm going and picking 12 samples, taking their measurements, taking their readings. Every hour I'm doing the same thing. That's more than 8 subgroups, so I will be using an X bar S chart. Is that clear when to use which chart? Because that's what is important, because rest it will be very, very easy to understand this control charts. Is it clear? Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Let me just copy paste this first chart. That's the Imr chart, individual and moving range chart. So let's have a quick look at this Imr chart data. How do we make an Imr chart? This is the base chart. This is also known as universal chart. So we go ahead with stat, we have control charts, and then we have variable charts for individuals. And the first one is Imr. So stat followed by control charts, variable charts for individuals, and then Imr. We click on this, select the data that you want to analyze. You are analyzing production in kilograms. We double click production in kilogram. That comes in here. That's how it is analyzed. Let's click OK. That is all. We click OK. It publishes your control chart. That's how your control chart looks like. Now, just keep this in mind. If you understand this chart, you will understand every other chart. This is the base chart for every other chart. Every chart will become individual chart in the end. So you just need to focus and then have a clear line of sight about how to read this chart. Every chart will become this in the end. So just try to understand this. This is, let me just go back to the Excel sheet and just give you the values here. So if I take the average of all the data that I collected, it's 12.5625. 12.5625 is the average. Let's look at this average X bar, 12.56. So with this line that we're seeing here, the green line, that's my average of the data I have collected here. Then if I look at the first value, look at this first value. It says value, individual value 11. Second, it says individual value 11. Third, it says individual value 12. And then it says 14. Well, look at this. 11, 11, 12, 14. So what it is doing, that it's found the average and it's plotting the data around that average. That's it. That's what it's doing. Now there are two limits here. We see UCL and we see LCL. There are two limits which we see here. We need to keep this in mind when we talk about UCL and LCL, basic fundamentals. We already have seen two terms called LSL. We have seen USL. The one we are talking about is LCL and UCL. So there is a difference. This one is lower specification limit. That's specification limit. That's the minimum target. This is upper specification limit. This is upper maximum limit. These are defined by the client. The client tells you this, that's my maximum limit. There's a minimum limit. Pretty much the client defines them, and basis this, we calculate sigma level. These are fixed. They don't change unless client changes these limits. They are fixed. But the one we are talking about, these are lower control limits and upper control limits. Now, this is created from the data itself. The data creates it. As data changes, these will also change. So these are not fixed. They keep changing with the data, control limits. And I'll just quickly explain why, so that we should know the basic concept. Yes, during interviews, this can also be asked. Why do control limits vary? Why do they change? They are not fixed. Upper limit, lower limit of USL or LSL, that's fixed because that's given by the client. But these are control chart control limits, and these change. If the data changes, these limit will change. Bottom line, keep this in mind. How does it work? This is my average. If you remember, we have talked about normal distribution. A normal distribution looks like this. The data is here. The data has an average. You have a +1 standard deviation, +2 standard deviation, +3 standard deviation. You have -1 standard deviation, -2 standard deviation, -3 standard deviation. This one, which is -3 standard deviation, happens to be your LCL. And this one is the upper limit, which happens to be UCL. This one is a vertical chart. This is one is a horizontal. This is my mean, +1, +2, and this is +3, -1, -2, and this is -3. Same chart in a horizontal way. That's it. If your data changes, your average will also change. Yes. If my average change, will my standard deviation change? Yes. If the standard deviation change, the value of this UCL and LCL will also change. So keep this in mind. Since upper limit, lower limit calculations are property of the data, it's derived from the mean and the standard deviation. Hence, if the data changes, all these values will change, and so would the control limits change. And I'll just quickly show you this basic logic. I'll just show you like how does it change, just for matter of fact. Say, let me make it 31. Just randomly showing you a basic fun thing. See, the control limits have changed because my data has changed. I changed the data. Now I can see some of these red dots. These are some red dots. Red dots, red dots. That is what we are going to be checking. Now, when we look at red dots, these are called special cause. The control chart, the purpose of having control chart is to identify these red dots. These are called special cause variations. Special cause variations. Now, there's something which is called common cause variation, normal process variation, which is like every data can't be same. Like all the values cannot be same. Every data will fluctuate some bit of here and there because that's a normal process thing, which is fine. But having a value like 31 all of a sudden in between, that is definitely a variation, a big time variation. So it's humanly not possible for you to track every single value. Hence, we have the special cause variation, which tells that yes, there's something in your process data has started changing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. So keep this in mind. When you see a special cause variation, they don't tell us if there is a defect or not. It just means that something has started changing in your data, which is not a usual practice. Data has started changing, your process has started changing. So the changes are so small that we do not even understand that the process has changed. You can't humanly track every single value. So control charts will never miss it. So whenever you have the control charts, whenever you see red dots, whenever you see these special cause variations, you must do root cause analysis. Why that happened? You must do it. These can be good or bad. Like, let's have an understanding of it. Say this is my production data. Is this a
Sir?
defect? Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, how come chart decides the upper limit and lower limit? Because we only given the data of production.
Yes, so we put in the value. When the value changed, my average also changed, and my average changed, so would my standard deviation also would change. So if say for example I had this data, new data, this data, for right now my average is this. What if I change this value to 31? Would my average change? Yes. Let me just put it back. Let me just get this new data, which is here, and let's have a look at this. If I'm making it 31 here, just for argument's sake, this is average. Earlier I had a different standard deviation, so this was my standard deviation for this data, and this is the standard deviation for this data. If my data changes, will my standard deviation change? Yes.
Yes.
So if my average change, my standard deviation change, both change. So if my control limits, which were looking somewhere like, which were like, this was my average, yeah.
No, so you said that client would given us the lower limit and upper limit.
those are upper limit and lower limit, which is LSL and USL,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
which it is not plotted in. This is not a part of control chart. That's
UCL and LCL.
these LCL,
Yes,
UCL, this is
sir.
a part of control chart. This
Yes,
is not
sir.
a
I
part
am
of control chart.
asking this only. How come the chart knows what is the LCL and what is UACL? Because it mentioned UCL is 27. Because we only edit the data of production. I think I missed that part. That's why I'm asking this
Okay,
question.
that's fine.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, see, when you change the data, when your data changed, your average also. So how does it gets calculated when you have this average, and from the average itself, say when I have this data, like let me just go back to this. It says 13.81 is my average. That's what we calculated for this one also, 13.81.
So this is calculated by 3 sigma
3
and minus
sigma.
3 sigma.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
So
UCL is plus 3 sigma.
yes. So upper limit and the lower limit are set at 3 stars. So if I look at this, see 13.81, yes, that's my average. First value is 11, second value is 31, third value is 12. So if I look at this Excel sheet, 11, 31, 12. So it's doing what it has got this average. It is plotting the data around that average. Now the question comes in these control limits. So control
Yes,
limits,
sir.
how do they calculate? From the data itself, you've got this average. There's every control chart has its own formula for calculation of control limits. In a simple layman language, you can set this up. You can mention this as that these are set at 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, and 3 standard deviation. -1,
Okay, okay, okay.
-2, and -3. That's how it is.
Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, bottom line, whenever you see this kind of data, these red dots, because it's a production data, assume this is production data, sales data, is it a defect? Would you call this as a defect? Would you be unhappy about this?
Sir, these are extreme values and they may change our results.
Yeah,
So,
but would you be happy?
Yes,
Sales,
sir.
would you call it as a defect?
No, sir.
No. So this
yeah,
is not bad.
so this is not bad, but it is unusual.
Absolutely, yes.
It's
That's what it
impact
says.
our production. It impacts our average and
Absolutely,
leads to
yes.
some different interpretations.
You're right. So that is
But
what
for
we're trying to
sales, it's good.
understand. Yes. Anything, bottom line, the only thing I'm trying to say, it doesn't tell you that it's a defect. This is what we want to keep this in mind. Special cause variations, these red dots, whenever you see in a control chart, do not have a preconceived notion that it's a defect. No, special cause variation does not mean it's a defect. What are you measuring will decide it's a defect or not. It just means that something different has, as you clearly said, yes, it's different. It's not a regular practice, but it has something has happened which is not a regular practice. This can be good, this can be bad. Like in this case, if this is days, time related data, it's very bad. If it's time related data, then pretty much I have exceeded my time limit. That's bad. So depending on what are you measuring, it will decide whether it's good or bad. So we can never say that special cause variation is a defect. No, special cause variation can be good and it can be bad, both ways, depending on what are you measuring. If you say it's this same data is sales data, it is very good for me. I would love this. But if it is time related data, then it's very bad for me. I would not like. If it's cost related data, it's very bad. It's gone out of my cost has gone out of roof. I would like to understand this. Now keep this in mind while you say this, like pretty much this is where the basic fundamental comes into picture, and pretty much everyone should just pay attention here, because that's the where we would like to understand the basic reasoning of using control charts. I'm sure everyone would have this in mind, like 31, I don't need a control chart. Always an 11, 12, 11, 12, 13 is going on. 31, anyone can spot. What is the big rocket science here? Again, I don't need a control chart to tell me there is an outlier value. I completely buy that point, and absolutely right. So this is just one value which is queuing up the data. Absolutely right. There are 8 rules which governs control chart. Only one rule talks about exceptionally high or low value which crosses UCL or LCL. That means exceptionally high or exceptionally low, which is easily understood. When you look at data, you can easily spot this. This is exceptionally high. What's big deal? I don't need a control chart. I can look at this data. I can tell you, well, this is understood. It's an exceptionally high value. Completely understand that. But that's only one rule. There are remaining 7 rules which will give special cause variation when data is within limits. When everything looks normal, there are these situations wherein a problem is in making. These are so, when all the data points are within the limits, absolutely within the limits. But you will understand, like when you look at such a data point, well, see, this is understood, it's crossing the limits, and we all understand. But when the data is well within this upper limit, lower limit, still you will see red dots within this. That is why control charts are special. And this is only one rule which talks about crossing the limit. The rest is when everything looks normal, life looks absolutely normal. And like we would not see something as an error. These are the changes are so small that humanly it's not possible for you to see that it as a problem, but control charts will not miss it. There's 7 rules which will spot those errors in the data, in the process, that it has started changing. There is a behavioral change in the data. Please check before it really becomes a problem. This is just the beginning of the problem. That's how those 7 rules govern. And where are those 7 rules? Let me show it to you. When you do this control chart part of it, we click on IMR option here. I go to test and see only one rule is selected by default. By default, it only selects one rule. Perform selected test for special causes. Only one rule. Always remember, whenever you're testing it, always go to drop down and see, select this. Perform all tests. We want to perform every test. First rule is this one. Let me just read this out so that we understand what is the basic meaning. We don't have to remember this, but yes, these are standard. 1 point more than k is 3. So if any point crosses third standard deviation, upper limit or lower limit, third standard deviation, if any point crosses third standard deviation, highlight as a red dot, as a special cause. That we understand. It's already there. Remaining 7 rules are here. 9 points in a row on the same side of center line. So if 9 points are consistently on the same side, on the upper side of mean, or on the lower side of mean, it says there is too much of consistency of either upper side or lower side. Your data has started shifting its average now. It has started following a trend or a pattern where I can see a consistency of consistent 9 points where the data has not gone below average or has not gone above average. That means a new high or a new low is being created. The data has started following a new pattern now. Say 6 points in a row, all increasing or decreasing. The data is just increasing 6 points in a row. 6th point, it will start giving you a red dot. That I can see a trend now. The data is moving up, or it's going down. It will cross your upper limit or lower limit. It hasn't, please check before it starts creating a problem. So
Sir,
these are, yeah.
6 point means 6 continuous observations.
Yes,
above.
absolutely. 6 continuous points just moving up. So one day, so all these values at 10, 10.1, 10.6, 10.9, those values are moving up. That will, 6th point will be highlighted as a red dot. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it says 14 points alternating up and down. So that is like really weird. One day up, next day down, up, down. 14 points consistently up, down. That is too much to digest. Well, there's somebody either fudging with data, something wrong is happening. Please check. There's too much of up and down. I am sure like someday they will be up, down, up, down, sort of thing, but not just up, down. That is where somebody somewhere is messing with the process. Similarly, it says 2 points out of 3 points. 2 out of 3 points are greater than 2 standard deviation. So it's saying that there are values which are moving outside the second standard deviation. That means they are close to the boundary. Because if they are outside the second standard deviation, that means it is very close to the third standard deviation. You have a possible threat that because the data points are very close to the upper limit or very close to the lower limit. I am giving you an alert well in advance. Please check because it can cross the limits anytime. It's very close to it. Similarly, it says 4 points out of 5 points moving out from the first standard deviation. We all know that most data is near plus minus one standard deviation, 68.2% data. Most data is around the average. But if it's moving out of one standard deviation, that means your process has started finding a new high or a new low. The process data is either moving ahead of one standard deviation or below of one standard deviation, which is why I can say the process is either forming a new high or a new low. A pattern is being formed now. There's a consistency. Please check. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a defect. I can see a change in the behavior of the data. Please check. Good for you. Please clap for yourself and make it a really daily practice. If it's bad for you, please fix it. An early warning has been given to you. This one is not bad. 15 points within one standard deviation of the center line. Well, that's good. That's what we want. Data within one standard deviation. Very, like, that's how a good data is, right in the center. But that's too good to be true. Well, I doubt too good to be true things also. This is extra good. Well, I would doubt. Somebody, well, it's good. Again, I would investigate, check. If it's good, I would love that. But it's saying now that's too good to be true. Data should go out. Some bit of variation is inherent. Every process should fluctuate some. This is not fluctuating. I have a problem here. If it's good, I would be congratulating myself. But that's too good to be digested. Please check. Similarly, it says 8 points greater than one standard deviation from center line. Again, finding a new high or a new low. The different rules. These are fixed standard rules wherein data is within the limits. It has not crossed the limits, but there are various patterns of behaviors of the data wherein which we will be able to capture when every data will look normal, and we will be able to spot those errors. If it's good for you, please learn from it and make changes in your process so that you can repeat it. If it's bad for you, please go and investigate and then get it fixed. Like in this case, when we did this test, it tells you that, well, see, well, we have some defects. Let's see. This is understandable. This is understandable. Look at this. Do you see the red dots here? This is well within the limits. It has not crossed the lower limit. It has been identified as special cause variation. What is the rule being violated? You'll be able to see that. When you go down here, it tells you 9 points in a row on the same side of center line. Consecutive 9 points in a row. Well, let's have a look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth point. You leave one, then from here, 9 point. You leave another, 9 point, 9 point, 9 point. It says data is forming a new low, less than the average. This is forming a new low. Please check. It could be, it's good for you, then please enjoy it. If it's bad for you, please fix it. But I'm finding a pattern in the data where data is not moving out. It's not crossing these averages. Bottom line, you will get to see where it's happening, what points in your data sheet. Tells you point number so and so, point number so and so in your sheet. You'll be able to find it out. These rules you don't have to remember, but yes, when you perform the test, these are standard rules. You should know, but just keep this basic thing in mind. Whenever you're doing this test, go to control charts, individual charts, IMR options, or for that matter, any chart, other chart you do. You'll always have this option tab, test. Always select this, perform all special causes. That's what you need to do. As a person who will be publishing control chart, your job is just to make sure, publish control charts, have a look at these rules. If you don't have any special causes, that's fine. Whenever you have special cause, good or bad, you must do a root cause analysis and share the insights with the management as to why that happened and what action have we taken. So that's how IMR chart works. Is everyone okay with the IMR chart?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this one is your X bar R chart data. Let's have a look at this X bar R. This is like when you've got 7 samples, like so we're picking up to 8, it will be X bar R. Process is same, rules as control limits are also same. Here, variable charts for subgroups, X bar R. My data doesn't fall in one column, there are multiple columns, so I'll go down to the drop down here. And we click here, we select all the subgroups. So select all of it, comes in here. X bar R option, same rules, test. Only one is selected by default, always select all the special causes. Same rules, same conditions. Click OK and OK. If it doesn't show you any problem, pretty much you're good. If it does show you a problem, then there is a problem here. So it doesn't show me any such special cause variation. We are good with it. But if it starts showing you special cause variation, you'll see the red dots. You'll also see the explanation here. There's no such explanation here. He had in the previous one. But yeah, keep this in mind. Whenever we're publishing these control charts, right, it's just about ensuring that you are monitoring the special cause variations, because that's what makes your process go bad. Is because we just need to have keep basic fundamental in mind. Like every chart will have the same rules which will govern them. It just depends how many samples we're picking will define the control chart we are using. Similarly, we have an X bar S chart also. So the purpose just remains same for analyzing. The rules remain same. It's just that the name of the chart changes depending on the sample. Bigger the sample size, you need standard deviations to calculate that. This control charts now. X bar S, just below X bar R, this is X bar S. So again, it's not in one column, it's in multiple. So we select subgroup 1 till subgroup 12, all of that X bar S option. Perform the test for all the special causes and click OK. That's it, we're done. So here we get, again, if there is an issue with the data, you'll see those red dots. Is everyone okay with X bar R, X bar S also? Like basic control charts, the base chart is this chart, because that is what the logic is followed. It's just what the sample sizes increase significantly. When it becomes a big sample size, you need standard deviation charts. More effective. They're more effective because standard deviation takes into account every value. Range takes into account two values only, maximum and minimum. This is when the data gets bigger, you need standard deviation charts. Is this okay with everyone?
Sir, subgroup means different type of observations we have.
Yes. See, like you here, the first hour I go and picked up say 12 samples, and I took their measurements, readings, what I wanted to capture. Second hour again I go and I pick up another 12. These are the every hour when I'm going and picking up those samples which I need for my data collection process. Like I'll pick up those samples. Say here it was picking about 7 samples. If you're just picking one sample, it's an Imr chart, single chart, with a single value at a time. Okay. Let's have a look at the other charts, which are control charts for discrete data. This is based on there are 4 charts, and these are single charts. This is based on defect and defective. So we need to understand basic difference between defect and defective. This is fixed sample version, and we have got variable sample. So there are 4 charts: C chart, U chart, P chart, and NP chart. There's no expanded version. That's the name of the charts. There's no expanded. These are not abbreviations. Now, which chart to be made is what we have to understand. Again, it same follows the IMR rule. There's no difference there. But yes, which chart is needs to be published is what we need to learn. Now, first thing first, we need to understand what is the difference between defect and defective, because that's how we will pick the chart from this row, or we will pick the chart from this row. So basic difference between defect and defective. Let me just take a simple example. Say I have again, let me go back to my marker, which is my favorite example. So pretty much I have a marker auditing, like manufacturing process, and I want to audit how good or bad is this process, and I want to make a control chart for that. So I have some basic parameters that when I have a marker, the cap should fit properly. That's one quality parameter I will check for. I will check whether there is a leakage or not. So that will be one quality parameter I would audit. I will check for printing mistakes if on the marker, if there is any. And I will also check for color also. What if it's a black color marker writing blue or red? That's bad. So say there are 4 different parameters on which I audit every marker. And I picked up some samples. Marker 1, 2, 3, 4, some markers, and I want to audit this entire, say 5 markers. When I audited this marker, everything was good about this marker, no problem. And similarly, audited other markers. While I was doing that, I found that this marker, third marker, had some leakage issue. And we had fourth marker, which had leakage, printing, and color issue also. So all in all, if I want to find out how many defects, and I would like to hear it from you all, How many defects do I have and how many defectives do I have? Anyone wants to pitch in here? How many defects and how many defectives?
Sir, defectives are 2, marker 3
Absolutely
and
correct.
4, and
Yes, and
defects are 3,
three or four?
leakage 4.
Four. There are four defects. So four defects, one, two, three, and four. There are four defects where we had a problem, but there were only two defective markers. Markers are defective. This is the part itself. How many parts are defective? Defects are the every single error. Every single error is the defect. The type. Every single error is the type. Defective is the part. So the part, we had two defective markers. That's what we work on. Or you are counting the number of defects. So if your organization is concerned about reducing the count of every error, then you will be making a chart from the defect one. If your organization is working on reducing the count of error, then you pick up a C chart or a U chart. But if your organization is working on reducing the count of defective item, the part, defective parts. Say we manufacture 100 parts, how many defective parts they are there? We want to reduce that, the part itself, the count of defective parts. Then we will be working on defective part like this one. Now, just a basic thing now, nothing wrong or right, but companies which are brand conscious, they work on defective. A single defect will make it defective. That's how it's not going to be sold out in the market like iPhone. If they identify any problem in their production house, in their quality testing, they will not sell this phone in the market. Simple as that. They work on defective mode. They're brand conscious. Even a single defect makes it defective. But we would talk about some Chinese phone. When they find an issue in the process, that doesn't mean that they are bad. They would not, they would sell it, they would still sell it in the market. I'm not talking about the cheap ones. Yes, definitely they do. They work on defective model. They would correct their process. They will tell the people, well, there is a defect of this so and so happening, but they will still sell this product in the market. They are trying to reduce the defect, but yes, they would sell this product because they work on defect model. They're, they will not junk the phone because there is a defect. Why? Because they work with a basic logic. We don't work with a margin like iPhone does. We work with budget size phone, and this with this kind of budget size phone, you should be ready to have some problem. Okay, that kind of basic, some problem can be there. Having said, we're giving you 1 year warranty. You go and forget, if you have a problem, get it repaired without any charges. That is the logic. So people work with defect, people work with defective. Nothing is wrong or right. It's all about what kind of audience you're dealing with. A defective audience is like a very, very brand conscious, like Rolex watch. Absolutely defective model. Single scratch, they would not even repair it, just junk it. That's how they work. Defect, it still work. Like, okay, let's kind of work it out. So nothing good or bad. It's just about your organization. You got to decide. Now, which one should be picking, a C chart or a U chart? Would you be picking an NP chart or P chart? That depends on how many samples you're picking. If you're picking fixed number of samples every day, then you will pick up a C chart for auditing. So if you every day, so you pick 5 markers, every day 5 markers, then you have a fixed sample. So you'll be making, and you're counting how many defects did I get? Then I'll make a C chart. But if you are picking someday 5 markers, someday 10 markers, someday 8 markers, your sample is changing. You'll be using a U chart. If you're working on defective version, same fixed sample, then NP chart, variable sample, then P chart. Let's have a look at the data. We have data for that. So C chart. Every day I am picking 10, 10, 10, 10 samples, and I'm counting how many defects did I find. So fixed sample, yes. Counting defects, fixed sample, counting defects, C chart. This kind of data will be required for C chart. Count of sample, which is fixed, and the defects that you find in them. U chart, your sample size is changing. Someday you're picking more samples, someday you pick less sample, and you count how many defects did you find. So variable sample and counting defects. That would be a U chart kind of data. Have a look at P chart. You have variable samples, but you're checking how many defective samples did we find. How many defective samples? So we had 11 samples, 20 samples, 20 is defective. There's some samples, but we're counting how many defective samples did we get. That's what P chart will be working on. NP chart will be fixed sample, but we're counting number of defectives. Fixed samples, but counting number of defectives. That will be NP chart. That's what we need to understand. Rest, like when you look at control charts, it's going to be more like the same what we have already seen. But one couple of control charts will be different, definitely different. And we'll look at this, and definitely you should know the answer when we get there. Let's have a look at this. Stats, control charts, and all these C, U, P, and P will be in attribute charts. The last one is C here. C, U, P, and NP. All of them are here. C chart, put the defective. Now, defects were chart, the 4 charts we have less. We have only 4 rules, and same rules, but 4. First 4. So perform all the tests, same rules, but 4 rules only. Just finds that's what how it works. Finds the average and puts the number of average around that mean. Same logic. But the only change which will come here now, I would definitely want to hear it from you all about this chart. There will be something different in this control chart. I definitely want to understand from you what is different and why is that different. Control chart, attribute chart, U chart. Defects, sample size, U chart options, special causes, all the special causes. What is different in this control chart and why is that different? Anyone wants to pitch in? What is different in this control chart and why is that different?
Sir, the UCL and LCL is different for each observation.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Thanks for answering that. Yes, this is a dynamic chart. This is changing so this one is not your final one. This is for the last sample size. If you take your cursor here, you'll see 0.636. Here, see 0.686. Look at this. Every time the sample size is changing, so would your control limits change. Why? Because control limits are property of the data. It's created from the data, because your sample sizes are changing, it is fluctuating its control limits on its own and accordingly. It's a beautiful way to, because you may have different sample sizes. Yes, it's adjusting its process of control limits accordingly as per the sample size, which is good. So the reason, yes, we have different size control limits. Why? Because we have sample sizes which are different. Because the data is changing, so would your control limits change. That's how it works. Now, see, these are defect chart. These are bad defects. This is very good because it has gone below the expected level of defects, which is what I would like to know. How did we manage? This has gone below the expected level number of defects. This is very, very bad. We would like to understand why it happened and all that. We investigate. Bottom line, red dots don't mean it's a defect. Depends on which side it's going. It's crossing the upper limit. Defects higher, bad. Defects lower, very good. That's what we have. It doesn't say it's good or bad. Similarly, we have the other control chart, which is like same stuff. Like we look at, this is going to be again a zigzag chart because the sample size is changing, but it's measuring the defectives. Well, it doesn't make any difference there. But yeah, the control charts will have similar properties. It will be a P chart, defectives, sample size, feature options, go to test, special causes. That's it. You just click on it and you will get your defective control chart. Again, the same zigzag limit because my sample sizes are unequal. They are changing and you have zigzag limits. This is looking at percentage of defectives and you're kind of looking at, because from the data itself, it finds what is the percentage defective and then starts plotting the data around that percentage. It's like 9 divided by 11 will give me this value. Well, look at this. 0.8182. If you divide 9 by this, have a look at this. This is how it creates 9 divided by 11. This is the value, percentage. Single column. Everything will become a single column in the end. IMR chart, everything becomes like that, individual chart. These are the values which you see here. That's how. Bottom line, you just need to look at, watch out for your red dots, and that should take care of it. NP chart will be back to fixed limits because my sample sizes are back to normal. So we'll be working on the NP chart, which is going to be a fixed one for NP here. Defectives, sample sizes are fixed, which is here. NP chart options tests for all the special causes. We're done. Now, can you tell me, like, are these bad or good or bad? Which you're seeing here.
Sir, they are
That
not defective.
they are good. Yes, absolutely. They've gone below the expected level. We were expecting certain number of defects. We have managed to go beyond that also, which is good. I'm very concerned. It's right there. It's not crossed it, but I'm very worried about this one. It's right. These are good. I would love to see how did we manage this, because defects lesser the better. Defects more will be bad. It's good to have this kind of days. I would do a root cause analysis to understand how did we do, who was involved, what differently did we do, and I would like to make it a daily practice. I'm very concerned with this for sure, but yes, helps me understand. Just gotta keep this in mind. Pick the right control chart, have it published at a frequent, like a certain frequency, and have it monitored. You will not go wrong, because see, it's not possible for everyone of none of us to track every single value in your process. It's not humanly possible. It let control charts to look into all those hassles, because as we take special causes, these remaining 7 rules is where we generally actually have a problem, which is not going to be understood by us when you look at data. Let control charts. And so I would definitely recommend, whatever you do, if your organization doesn't support Six Sigma, at least use this as bits and pieces. You have tools and techniques with you. These are different stuff. Collection of Six Sigma is nothing but a collection of tools which you need to use in silos. You can use them as you need. Just put in your SPC, statistical process. We have a process. I'm going to set up a SPC for which is statistical process control for my process. We'll just keep observing, be it a sales process, productivity process, any process that comes to your mind. Set up a control chart, control process. Keep observing, keep highlighting. That's what we would be like able to ensure that the process doesn't give you those surprises. Yeah, that's from the control chart perspective. Anyone has questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
Pretty much
sir.
the last thing that we have lined up for today is the basics of lean that we have. So from lean basics perspective, we have uh, 2-3 things to be covered up. One is something called 5S plus 1S. That is the first thing that we work on. Do we have any idea about, like, what is 5S? Have you heard about 5S before or discussed in your yellow belt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can anyone, like, it will be good to hear from you all. What do we mean by 5S? If anything, it will be good to hear.
So, it's sorting and
Yes.
So
Set in order,
sort होता
shine,
है, फिर set in order, then shine, then
shine,
standardize and sustain.
Sunrise and sustain. Is
safety.
absolutely perfect. So are
Sixth
we
is
good
what?
with this? Safety measures.
Okay.
So originally it was just 5S. Americans added so the Japanese version was 5S. Americans added the 6th S, which is the safety part. So which is like about a decade ago, this was added. Now pretty much, I think, is everyone okay with it, 5S, or do we need to discuss this?
So we had discussed in our
Okay.
college classes.
Okay, perfect. Then we are
So
good.
we're
I
clear.
think we should be good. Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we talk about, like, this is the first tool that we should always implement whenever we're going about implementing lean. Now, once this has been done, the objective of lean comes into picture. Where do we implement lean? What is the basics of lean? When we talk about lean implementation, how should we go about implementing lean? So lean implementation is what we are going to be talking about. How do we identify? So if you remember, the basic definition is identification and elimination of waste. So that's what we need to do. First thing first, how do we identify? That's what is my first and foremost question. How do we identify something as a waste? When I've identified, then I can definitely remove it. First, there are a few questions that I should be asking for myself. Keep this in mind. Every question in lean is answered from customer's standpoint, not from organization standpoint, not from profit holder standpoint, not from stakeholder standpoint, only from customer standpoint. Everything in lean is answered from customer. What would customers say for this particular thing? So first thing first, let's have a basic understanding, basic process, A, B, C, D, E. My process starts here, my process ends here. Now, I would like to implement lean in this process. Say I'm criticizing this step number C. I want to understand, is this a waste or not? I want to identify that is this a waste or not? Bottom line, I will be asking my first question here. My first question, will the customer be willing to pay for this activity? Now, keep this in mind, every activity will require some time, resources, money. Practically, that's a cost, which will eventually be paid by the customer. So every step requires some resources, time, and that cost is passed on to the customer. So in the end, the customer pays the cost for that. So every cost gets added up to the total product cost or service cost. Now, if you tell the customer that we are doing this step number C, we tell this customer will the customer be happy to hear that we are doing this step? Will you be happy? Would you be paying for this? If it's important, bottom line, if this step is important for the customer, he or she will pay. So the question we need to answer from the customer standpoint, like say we have got some Harvard educated guy, or probably somebody from and we're paying a hefty salary. And obviously, who's going to pay for the salary? That salary of that somebody whom we have hired from Oxford, Harvard, where that needs to be passed on to the customer because it will get added to the product cost, service cost. Well, if you tell that, well, we have just hired somebody from Oxford University and we're paying a huge amount of salary, and obviously that's why you increase your prices. Well, will the customer be happy? No, practically not. Well, that's your problem. Why should I pay for your recruitment stuff? Well, you hire from anywhere, not my problem. Why should I pay for your wills and fancies? Simple. Bottom line.
Research and development company.
Yeah. So bottom line here, we need to understand, is this activity important for the customer? If the answer is yes, then that means it's an important activity. It's a value added activity. We must keep it if it's important for the customer. If the answer is no, then there is the next question which will trigger. The customer says no, why should I pay for this activity? Then we have to ask the second question. If I remove this step, this particular activity, will my product fail, product or service, whatever we're dealing with, fail? If this step is a very important step, and if I remove this, well, my entire process will fail. If I'm making a product or service, then it's very important. The question we are talking about is this step transforming my product or service? Is it doing something with your product or service? Is it making the product or service? If this step is really important, then it should be doing something with your product or service. It should be changing the product in some shape or form. If the answer is yes, it is going to fail. If I remove this, it is going to fail. Like my process will fail, the product will fail, my services will fail. It's a very important step. You can't remove it. If the answer is no, even if I remove C, still my product will be the same, my services will be the same, then it's a basic question you've got to be asking from yourself. Why are you doing it? Neither the customer wants it. You are adding extra cost to this customer, which is why the customer will be unhappy. And even if you remove this step, it will not impact your product or service. Why are you doing it in the first place? Then definitely that's a waste. That's where we understand, okay, we are dealing with a waste. This waste needs to be removed. But can I remove all the waste? The answer is no. Waste will further be classified into two types. One is an essential business, basically essential value-added waste. This is a waste, still a waste. Neither the customer wants it, nor it's an important waste. And even if you remove it, the process will not fail, but you can't remove. These are essential waste. It's important to have this waste. You must have this waste, like training, quality, HR, finance, and so on and so forth. All these people, like these, well, is training. You tell them, well, we have got like 5 different trainers, all from like best of the universities. We're paying hefty salary to them. Well, customer will say, go to hell, not my problem. Well, we've got like 20 people in the quality auditing process. Obviously, the cost needs to be passed on to you. Well, customer, well, why would the customer pay for your 20 people? No, what even for a one person? I need a product, and I need a product at reasonable rate. You have your wills and fancies that you need 20 people for auditing. Not my problem. Why should I pay for that? Bottom line, like for example, say finance people. Well, why do I pay for your finance guy? Well, can I remove them? Are they making any thing in the product or service? No, they are nowhere in the product or service manufacturing or delivering, but you can't remove them. You don't have your training team. Who's going to have those people trained? You will be dealing with junk people, pretty much quality. If you just manufacture product, ship it to the customer, you will be like sending tons of junk to the customer. Finance people, who's going to do your GST invoices and taxes and all that stuff? You need these people to run the basic process. They are not in the actual process, but they're parallel to the process, and they're integral part. If you don't have them, then you've got a serious problem. You will not be able to kind of maintain the process. So these are waste. Yes, neither customer wants them nor your process will fail, but you must have them. Others, that's a pure waste. Absolutely. That we can just call it as non-value added waste. Simple non-value added waste. Oh, my bad. This was also essential non-value added waste. These are also non-value added, but they're essential. This is pure non-value. This is what we would definitely want to remove, all of it. We still can't remove all of them, but whatever we can, we should. But this is where we would like to attack, would like to kind of fix them. Easy way to remember the different types of waste is called Tim Woods. Tim Woods is the easy way or acronym to understand the different types of waste which we need to. Is anyone familiar with this? Anyone?
No, sir. No.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, fix, and or you call it as rework. And this is skills. And when I say skills, unutilized one. Unutilized. And now that's where we will. Now, let's quickly have a look at each and every types of waste. Transportation waste is unnecessary movement of material or thing. Now, you moving out material or thing like files, email trafficking, too much of unnecessary commotion. Like you say, you're moving material from your store to your production floor, from production floor to somewhere. That shipping of movement obviously is utilizing some sources, some resources, somebody, some machine, some equipment. There's a cost for everything, which that's unnecessary movement. There is some required transportation of material, yes, but we look at your real-time processes, you'll say there will be tons of unnecessary movement of material one place to another, which is adding no value. You're just consuming time, resource, and a lot of other resources. You got to look at and observe your entire process and see, are you moving any unnecessary material? Because that's wasting. That's waste of time, money, and the people, resources, the machinery that you're using. So this is where we need to, this is material or thing. Keep this in mind. This is for material. Inventory, this is mother of inventory waste. So this is raw material. Now you have anticipated there will be a demand in the future, so you get all possible raw material. Well, you have wasted money now. You block your money. A businessman money is the money in circulation, which keeps moving. Now, when you got the raw material, it's blocked. Now there will be cost of keeping that inventory. The storage cost is also there. The cost of maintaining the inventory, the security, the damage which will happen to the inventory, the insurance of that inventory. That's too much of cost, which is why we have kind of wasted that money. The money is stuck somewhere. Now, when there will be a demand, it will come, then we will be able to utilize. Till then, your money is blocked. You've kind of created, you've kind of initiated the waste here. Pretty much, this is where I'll say mother of waste, because it will lead to other waste also. Motion waste, probably one of the favorite one, but unnecessary, whatever, movement of people. If you have to do too much of movement to do your job, that's waste. waste of time and money. I'll just rather give you a very simple example so that I can pretty much you can understand. This is a very simplest way. Till the time I was engaged with the corporate sector, this say we had a huge facility. The my cabin was used to be somewhere here in midway here, and a huge facility technically very. And we had unfortunately we had the centralized printer. We had a huge centralized printer which we got from US, and we had a lot of cubicles and bays. We had to kind of travel from here and here to get to this place. Now, if I, and this is what I'm kind of recalling, like I did this activity way back. So when I give a printout, when I was giving a printout, it takes me like roughly about like 3 to 4 minutes roughly to reach to this printer. Pick the printout, come back, it takes me another 3 4 minutes. So I would generally give about 3 or 4 printouts in a day. So if I go and pick up, like go to the printer, come back from the printer, it takes me about 6 minutes to reach and bring the printout. And say I give 3 printouts in a day. That's what I'm doing, 3 printouts roughly in a day. That's about 18 minutes walking in the corridor, picking up a printout. That's what I'm doing with my salary. Keep that in mind. We'll kind of blow it up further. This is per day. We work say 26 days a month with 1 weekly off, 26 days, which is why in the entire month I've wasted 468 minutes walking in the corridor. Multiplied by 12, that's the number of minutes I have wasted in a year walking in the corridor picking the printout. This is one activity. There could be hundreds of such activities which a lot of people are doing. This is for the entire year. We divide this with 60 to get number of hours. We wasted 93 hours walking in the corridor, divided by 8 hours shift per day. We wasted about 11.7 days of salary just picking up the printout in the entire year. And you do this activity for everyone, you'll be amazed. See, nobody does this level of calculation because it's 3 minutes. Who cares? Who would even think about it? When you do this maths, and trust, this is not one person, everyone is doing such a lot of such activities. Things have to be planned. This is a big waste with a hidden waste which we don't see, because it starts with small, 1 second, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes. There is so much of waste which is there. We got to keep this in mind when we're analyzing our process. Lean, because that movement, walking in the corridor, is not doing anything with my client or for anything. It's just wasted. Like with my salary, I'll add up with those many, and everyone's salary. You just see how much money you can save. Bring this thing to attention to your management. They will be amazed to see all that stuff. So, that's how it works. Moving on to the next. This is self-explanatory. And waiting. Lean is all about cutting down the time. You starting your process A, B, C, D. You must get this process kind of wrapped up. You can't let this process kind of stuck. Like if your A step is over, your B should start immediately. There's a wait that let me understand why. Why are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some approval, instructions? What are you waiting for? You need to kill that, because lean is what cutting down the time. Waiting is going to increase it. That's a violation. So that is self-explanatory. Waiting, you need to investigate why is something waiting in my process everywhere. Now, overproduction, as I said, it's mother of waste. We already started. You got excess of raw material. This is finished goods. Now you got the raw materials. You manufactured that. Now you're waiting with your finished material where there will be a particular demand, and I'll start selling it in the market and I'll make money, while you are still stuck with your inventory here. So overproduction will happen when you've got excessive inventory. You'll end up doing overproduction here. Overprocessing is delivering more than what is the customer's asked for. So client has probably given us a deadline. Say we say we are manufacturing some product, and the dimensions of the product has to be. The client says we are okay for a product dimensions to be in the range of say 20 centimeter to say 40 centimeter. Well, what we are trying to do is we are trying to be extra smart, or probably you want to please the client. We have made things more stringent for ourselves and for the process. We are giving ourselves which is good, but yes, I have made a process which says we need the process to be around 28 to 32. That we will be manufacturing only, which should range between 28 to 32. We are doing extra processing. We're trying to be extra stringent. Client has given this. I'm not saying that we absolutely just go and explore all those limits, because less than 20 will be defect, more than 40 will be defect. But this is over processing, too much into it. Whatever the client has not asked for, you shouldn't be doing that. Again, you might want to please the client, but then it's a violation, because you are taking unnecessary burden because of this extra processing. With the client, it will not come and give you kudos for this, because you maintained a very, very tight thing. No, practically it was okay with the client to, if it ranges between 20 and 40, things could have been relaxed, but you kind of made it over stringent. Like, client wants minimum of say, for example, 95% quality or 90% quality. Now what we do is, we made stringent to everyone for in our process that you must have minimum 98% quality. Well, we'll start penalizing you. Well, client has given us a like a leverage of 90%. Up to 90% is good. Yes, it's good. Higher the quality, better it is, but probably just suffocating ourselves, making life miserable for everyone. Practically, that's not the purpose. So you are trying to be over processing, you over processing, over thinking about the requirements. Defects and rework pretty much is self-explanatory, because when you have a defect, you will end up reworking it. When reworking means you're going to be taking extra time, extra resources, everything will be extra. That's bad. Defects will be another violation of lean. This is the latest. The older version was 7 types of waste. When you read a lot of journals, books, and everywhere, you see 7 types of waste. Older Japanese version. Americans added this one also. Skills. It is a corporate curse, and very much there. Unutilized skills. So a lot of people hire during the job interview. I want best of the world, the best person to be joining my team with every possible skill set in the world. And when I hire that person, I'll start giving the person instructions. I will try to become a control freak. I would rather dictate terms how things needs to be done. If you really wanted a clerk, you should have hired a clerk. Why did you like seek for all those special qualities or managerial skills and all that stuff when you never wanted them? You needed somebody to just follow your instruction. I can pay respect to the talent and your decision of selecting somebody based on the talent, when you're not letting the person do the job. Well, when you are trying to poke your nose in everyone's job, you are doing their job. Who is doing yours? And unfortunately, that's a curse, corporate curse. People do it too often. I mean, that's what people try to become control freak. They kind of dictate every terms, and you got to let people execute their knowledge and skills and talent. And that's how you will be, as a boss, able to do much better when your team does well. Unfortunately, people don't realize this in real world scenario, but yes, that's how it is. But yes, this is when you don't utilize complete talent and resources, you are unutilizing your skills. So the different types of ways, there are a lot of hidden ways which you will be difficult to find out, and hence you can't get rid of all these ways. But yes, it's a never-ending journey. You'll have to keep this as a never-ending drive. Continue fighting it, continue finding and solving it. You can't get all of it, but you just got to keep removing as much as you can. It will be a never-ending drive. That's how it works. Any questions on the types of waste here? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right. So I guess that is all what we will have for today, and pretty much being the last session. I will be sharing this final updated sheet with everyone, because this is pretty much done, and other Excel sheets that we have used for you to look into it and perform the analysis. I think like somebody from IMC will also be coordinating with you for I think some sample papers and all that stuff for you to prepare more. So, but yes, just keep this in mind. I mean, should you have any questions, you already have my details. If anyone has a question, you can just respond on you have my email. So please just don't hesitate to kind of drop in a question if in case you have any at any point in time.
Thank you, sir. It was a great
Thank you, sir.
session with you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. All right then.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
a lot. Take
Thank
good
you,
care of
sir.
yourself, and yeah. So stay in
So
touch.
please share the
I'll
sheet
do
with
that.
us.
I will do
Okay,
that for sure. I will do that for sure. Thank you.
Sir, are you sharing PPTs as well?
Yes, I will be. I'll be sharing everything. Most likely
Okay,
by
sir.
tomorrow morning, you
Thanks a
should be
lot.
getting everything. Thank you. Thanks a lot.